Welcome and thank you very much for checking out my review of the latest DC animated film Superman Red Son, based on the prestige mini-run of 10 years ago. This film is once again directed by Sam Liu and it stars Jason Isaacs as the voice of Superman. And this film explores an alternate reality where baby Kal-El's rocket, instead of landing in Kansas, landed in the Soviet Union on the late 1940s. Full disclosure before we start the proper review, I was never the biggest fan of the mini comic run. It had 3 issues. I liked it fine, but I was never as big on it as many other people were. I think it's a good run, but it's just not one of my favorites. This film, however, has a different look at all of this. It really looks at it through a philosophical and ideological lens, because this film doesn't just turn Superman evil and fighting for the Soviets and that's it. He is not a good guy by any means, but there are many more shades of gray to him than there were in the comics, or at least the film allows those shades to flesh out. It feels more layered, it feels more deepened, and the film really explores that. This film is truly about Superman, how he sees the world, how his views on the world change, and how his perceptions on what is good and what is bad constantly are challenged and changed. So it's much more character driven in this film rather than plot driven. And Jason Isaacs does a great job as Superman. This is a guy I would love to hear playing Superman again. I don't think he'd be a good fit for, let's say, a quote-unquote normal version of Superman in the primary DC universe, but I don't know, I just thought it was a great fit. He did a great job in playing this Superman who is wise, he is older despite not aging. He really fits into this Superman mold very well, and I thought everyone did a good job. Roger Craig Smith as the Soviet Batman, and Vanessa Marshall, of course, as Wonder Woman, Amy Acker as Lois Lane, Diedrich Baker as Lex Luthor. It's also one of the most interesting characters that this Elseworld story looks upon, and I like how the story was presented, constantly changing and challenging Superman's perceptions, ideologies, philosophies, his relationship with Wonder Woman, with Lex Luthor, with this version of Lois Lane. All these pieces are interesting and they create for a very intriguing film. And I think the film looked great. I think the action was really entertaining wherever there was action, because this is not an action heavy movie. There are several action sequences, but they don't really take that long. So if you're more of a fan of Superman having spectacular fights against powerful foes, I don't know if this is the film for you, but if you're a fan of Superman the character, I think it's definitely worth a watch. And now for flaws. This is definitely one of those films where you can tell they bit more than they could chew, because this mini run is 3 issues, but there are so many elements put into it. There's Batman, there's Lex Luthor, there's Diana Prince. There are all these diplomatic side plots that are necessary to construct a new version of a world where Superman landed on Earth, that a lot of it feels weightless, and a lot of it feels tacked on. I'm not going to spoil anything for those of you who haven't read the comic, who haven't seen the movie yet. The last act of this film, the 3rd act, the final showdown, let's call it, feels very tacked on, because it felt like it was something that was just there and it only showed up midway through the film. It's much more focused on the comic. You can tell they had to cram a lot of things into 85 minutes, and for the most part it works. I enjoyed what they presented and how they presented it, but you can definitely feel that there's a lot to unpack in this film. You feel like there's a lot that wasn't as explored as it could or should have been, and you feel that also in the pacing. Not only are there elements in the film where you feel, oh, that should have been explored more and explained more because it just suddenly shows up, but then it suddenly disappears again. But the pacing as well, it jumps back and forth and it doesn't always fit. As someone who has watched all of these DC animated movies, a few years ago there was a string of of them that I just either did not like or absolutely despised. But these small individual stories, honestly, they are working for me. I don't think this film is great. I don't think it's the best one they've ever done. It's always an interesting look seeing these alternate versions of the characters and seeing how the world would change if a little small, quote-unquote small, detail about them changed. I'm giving Superman Red Son a B. Now, what did you think of Superman Red Son, my beautiful geekies? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the comic if you've read it, and let me know what Elseworld story you want to see them tackle on one of these animated films. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. Stay tuned. This weekend I have my review of Onward, then very soon my review of The Jesus Rolls. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much once again, and please do go check out my review of My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. Once more, thank you for watching. You are the best. So until the next video, stay beautiful, stay geeky, don't forget to subscribe and like, it really helps me and the channel out. But most importantly, above everything else, forever and always, love each other and love the movies.